It's really only about working on what's going on today and how can you overcome, what are you going to do to overcome the negative messages so that your mind starts working in concert, if you like, with your conscious mind and where you want to go. We don't go back. I may go back with them while we're doing a coaching session, but not when we do hypnosis. And we'll only go back during a coaching session just to see where the negative messages are coming from.
Now, women want to be financially free, but often wear many different hats. And I know, as a small business owner myself, it's very easy to feel overwhelmed. How can we leverage our lives and get out of that superwoman feelings? How can we leverage our lives and get out of that superwoman fatigue?
Well, obviously, like everybody else, I used to get tremendously overwhelmed and tremendously stressed because we do wear more than one hat often. Younger women generally will have families and they're trying to build a business. And even as we get older, because women today are having kids older, they can be 45 or 50 and still have young kids at school. So now they have the children to take care of, a husband to take care of, a business to build, and all the other things that go with that. And if they don't happen to have a husband and they're single mothers, that brings even more stress. So I had to learn how to stop getting overwhelmed myself before I could start teaching that to other people. Now today, and actually for the last year or so, because it took me a while to learn how to do this myself, for the last couple of years, I can honestly say I don't get overwhelmed at all. And although there are stressful situations, I don't internalize the stress. I found ways of dealing with it. Now, I'm sure your next question is probably going to be, how do you do that, right?
Of course. Give us your secrets.
Okay, so one of the things as entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you know this too, we have a tendency as entrepreneurs, and it's a very entrepreneurial trait, that we want to do everything at the same time. So I might be sitting here talking to you, but maybe my mind is on, something else that I could be doing when I get off the phone. Well, number one, that doesn't work. You have to be very present to what you're doing at the particular time you're doing it. So if you're creating a product, you don't start the product and then say, ooh, you know what? I could add a recording to this. I'm going to leave this for a while, and I'm going to go off and I'm going to start this product. So you go off and you start the product. Something else comes into your mind, and you go off and start something else, and by the end of the day, you've actually completed nothing. This is a very, very common entrepreneurial trait. So the only way that you can really never get overwhelmed is if you create a plan that keeps you focused. Now, obviously, one of the first things I did, not obviously, because not everybody does this, but one of the things I've always done since I first started my coaching business was to have my own coach and belong to some form of a group coaching program, mastermind or just group coaching. And so I always had a support system, but that didn't help when I was working alone in my office. It didn't stop me going from one thing to another. I'm sure that happens to you too, right?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, I am the master of multitasking, and I have to catch myself and actually make a plan for the day.
Exactly. So what I teach my clients to do, preferably on a Sunday night, because they don't want to be doing this first thing Monday morning when they're already going to start multitasking. they need to plan ahead their whole week. I mean, obviously, I will have worked with a client, and they're going to have a 6-month or a year. They're going to have a yearly goal and a 6-month goal and a 3-month goal. But it's about starting at the end and working backwards. So you create your goals, and then you work backward and see how you can arrive at those goals. But the most important thing is, what are you going to do each day so that you don't get overwhelmed? So the only way you can not get overwhelmed and stop multitasking is to have a very focused plan. Now, that includes having a timer, and I mean just a little digital timer. For instance, I knew we were going to do this call, on the hour, and I set my timer for, a few minutes before the hour so that I was on time for the call. If I'm writing articles, I'll decide, okay, for the next 2 hours I'm going to write articles. So at the beginning of a week on a Sunday night, what I do is I take my calendar, and I still use a daytime calendar that I write in. Because it's great having a calendar on your computer or on your smartphone or your iPhone or, or your iPad. However, you can shut those down. And when you close them, what happens? You forget what you've written. So I ask my clients to work out a weekly plan based on what they're going to do each day. And I mean hour by hour. And now I know that sounds overwhelming in itself. However, it's not. Multitasking actually doesn't work because, as I said at the beginning, what happens is you get a lot of things half finished and nothing completely finished.
That is totally true. I found myself starting a lot but not finishing a lot, and that's why I got really focused and started I don't do the timer, but that's a great idea, but I actually started planning out my day hour by hour so I know exactly what I'm doing, and I even include like lunch and breaks and if I have to run out. Therefore, it's not breaking up my time, but it's actually included in my time.
Absolutely. It's like if you have kids, for instance, they have to be taken to school. You've got carpooling and things like that. I'm way beyond that, obviously, at my age. However, that doesn't mean I don't have doctor's appointments. For instance, I'm in physiotherapy right now 3 times a week. Well, that's fantastic. But if I made my appointment, let's say, for 9 o'clock in the morning, then I'm going to cut a whole hour out of my day before I've even started my day. So I make my appointments for late in the afternoon, if they can fit me in, of course, and that goes into my calendar immediately each day, so I don't book myself over that time for anything else. I also have business hours, because most entrepreneurs do not give themselves business hours. Do you have business hours?
Yes, I do. But I learned that early. I actually started my initial career in real estate and I was young and I didn't realize I needed to set, times. And basically my husband came to me one day and said, I know you're very successful and you love what you do, but I'm not seeing you and that's not working for me. And then I got into mortgages and that's when I basically started setting hours. And if you tell people up front, they respect it. But if you basically allow them to suck up all your time, they will.
Right, and I don't allow that. Each session is timed. I also leave at least 10 to 15 minutes between sessions because I'm not one of these coaches that's going to say, okay, your time is up, let's stop right now. We might be in the middle of something really important, and so I will give them another 5 or 10 minutes if it's necessary. However, they also know that if we don't need all the time, we won't use all the time. But my hours, for instance, I only work from 10 a.m. until the latest 4 p.m. Pacific time. So I let clients know that those are my hours and that I don't answer emails from Friday to Monday because I don't work Fridays. So I really only work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I work approximately, I'd say, maybe 25 hours a week now, maybe 30 sometimes. But I don't work more hours than that, and I don't want clients to think that they can just, have a call or get me whenever they like. I'm always on email for them. I believe in extreme client care. It's very important, I think, to have extreme client care. But it's not okay if you, as an entrepreneur, are not keeping yourself on track and focused. So what I have found with entrepreneurs over the years, especially women, because I used to work with men too, I only transferred to working only with women a few years ago, because that became my passion, making sure that women over a certain age were able to feel empowered and go where they wanted to go. But if I say to a client, okay, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Well, I want to be happy and I want to be financially secure. Okay, why? They never think to, people spend more time planning vacations than they spend on planning their businesses.
Yes, I've seen it.
And truthfully, you can't build a business if you don't have a plan. So not only do you need to know where you are, exactly where you are, you need to know exactly where you want to go. I mean, I used to do it would be a 3 to 5 year plan when I was younger. Now, I only work for myself 1 year ahead at a time now. And that's, excuse me, but I am just getting over bronchitis. And that is because, truthfully, I'm 73. I don't know what happens tomorrow. So, although I don't think this way, I'm also very realistic. So I plan 1 year in advance, but most clients I work with who are between usually 45 to 60, I will have them plan 3 years in advance. Where do you want to go in 3 years? Okay, how do you want to see your life? And when I say this to them, I mean lifestyle. In other words, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want to be traveling? Do you want to have a great car? Do you want to have a different home? What do you want to be doing in your life? Not just, I want to have a great life, because I don't know what that means. Do you?
It means to have something different for everyone.
Exactly. So I pin them down, and I have them tell me where they are right now, what they like about where they are right now, what they don't like about where they are right now, and where they'd like to see themselves in 3 years. We set that goal, and then we work backwards. Okay, what do we need to do to get you where you want to go in 3 years? 1 year at a time. And of course, not being overwhelmed means that if you don't want to get overwhelmed because you have so many things to do, you have to be willing to keep an action plan that is by the hour. Because it's really the only way to stay focused.
Do you find that with female entrepreneurs that that's kind of hard for them, setting limits?
Yes. We always, as women, I think we've been brought up to multitask. I don't know what it is about women, but very rarely do I find that women will say to me, oh my God, I can't do that. How do you do that by the hour?
Because we allow other people
my answer always is the same. How serious are you about where you want to go?
Because we're kind of quick to let other people pull us away from things that we feel is important because we feel a little obligated.
Right. Exactly. They don't get, if you have business hours, during those business hours, I don't answer my phone unless it's for business.